another CrackFilm.com video. Happy weekend, happy Sunday. Hope you're all having a good couple of days, enjoying your time off, hopefully. I haven't been posting anything on the site the last couple days. I've been working through a bunch of bugs on both the website and the YouTube channel. As you may have noticed, we've been changing a lot of things. We changed the entire layout of the site almost. I think it looks a lot better, but with changes come a lot of technical difficulties and different glitches and errors and little things that they ultimately add up and contribute to being a real pain in my ass, quite frankly. But it's been causing me to not be able to write as much as I'd like, because I still have a regular day job that I have to do, and just other things that require my time. So the next couple days that'll be all shored up and I'll be writing a lot more on the site, but I figured I'll do a little editorial video right now today. And basically what this video is going to be is my 5 most anticipated movies for the rest of the year. The summer movie season is almost over. Once we get into the middle of August, pretty much all the big movies will be done. A couple of the big ones that we still have to look forward to are Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, which is getting terrific reviews. I must say, I'm very surprised, actually. Good reviews so far. Also, we have Fantastic Four, which I'm on the fence about. On one hand, I've liked all the trailers and promotional stuff that they've put out there, so that gives me hope. But on the other hand, I've been hearing a lot of rumors, as everyone else has, about problems on set, problems with the director, problems with the vision they have for the story. So I really don't know what to expect when that movie comes out, but I'm intrigued nevertheless. What else? As far as summer movie goes, we still have The Man from U.N.C.L.E. It comes out in mid-August. That's the spy movie with Henry Cavill, who of course plays Superman, and Armie Hammer, who is probably best known for either playing the Lone Ranger a couple years ago. That was a flop. But also in The Social Network, he was fantastic as he played the Winklevoss twins. Both of them. One actor played 2 different characters. Terrific job. He was great in that. A very underrated performance. Nobody really talks about it when they think of the great acting performances of the last, 5 years. But those movies aside, none of those made my top 5 because, some of them look, paint by the numbers, your average cash grab movies. So nothing too exceptional there. Although I hope they turn out good. I hope they're, at least an entertaining time. But we'll see. So 5 most anticipated movies the rest of the year. Number 5, Steve Jobs, the new Steve Jobs movie coming out. And if you were one of the 10 people who saw the last Steve Jobs movie, the one starring Ashton Kutcher, I'm sorry. I also saw that movie, and quite frankly, it was awful. Awful. That movie showed that no matter how much you look like the person you're trying to play, ultimately, if you can't act or if you have certain deficiencies in your acting talent, it doesn't matter how much you look like him, the movie's still going to be bad. The performance will still be bad. If I look just like, I don't know, Michael Jackson, just because I looked like him doesn't mean I could dance or sing like him or play him in a movie, So that movie was terrible for a lot of different reasons, but mostly because, at least for me, it was Ashton Kutcher as Steve Jobs. I didn't believe it. So this new Steve Jobs movie had a lot of controversy surrounding it as it was being developed. It lost its first director. It was originally supposed to be directed by David Fincher, who is one of the best directors, not just working today, but of all time, I'll say. Just look at his film resume. Fight Club, all-time classic. Seven, all-time classic. Social Network, classic. More recently, he just came out with Gone Girl last year, starring Ben Affleck and Rosamund Pike, who got a Best Actress nomination. She was fantastic. So David Fincher was originally supposed to direct the Steve Jobs movie, but due to either creative differences or scheduling conflicts, he ultimately left the project. And he was replaced by just another great director, not as good in my opinion, but very good, Danny Boyle, who I believe directed Slumdog Millionaire and a couple other really good movies. So he'll be directing the Steve Jobs movie. I think it comes out in October. Not exactly. I'm pretty sure October. But the main interest I have in this movie is not for who's directing, although that's a plus too, but who's acting in the roles. And first and foremost, the guy who they got to play Steve Jobs, and this was after they lost Christian Bale and Leonardo DiCaprio, who both signed on to play Steve Jobs at one point, and then they left for various reasons. But who they ended up with, and who the movie's already shot and it's done. I'm pretty sure they've wrapped. It's all done. It's in the can. They're just waiting for the release date. Who they got to play Steve Jobs is my personal favorite actor that we have today, Michael Fassbender. Michael Fassbender, of course, is playing Magneto in the X-Men franchise. He was also in. He got a Best Supporting Actor nomination for 12 Years a Slave a couple years ago. He's also been in some really small indie movies like Shame, which is a great movie. Nobody's seen it because it's rated NC-17, and that might as well be at the mark of death for a movie. Nobody's gonna see it if it's NC-17 unless you're weird like me. But he was fantastic in that. I got a Golden Globe nomination, I believe. Another small movie, he was in Hunger. He played some Irish dude that went on a hunger strike. The movie's fantastic. I saw it once, and it was a couple years ago, but it was great. So he's my favorite actor right now. And him playing Steve Jobs, when you take a look at him, he looks nothing like Steve Jobs. But like I said earlier, the look is irrelevant to me. As long as he's not like, a fat woman or something like that, then as long as he's a average build white dude, with the great makeup and visual effects that they can do to doll him up, make him look a little different, that's irrelevant. Michael Fassbender is one of the greatest actors we have right now, and him playing Steve Jobs is the main thing that has me interested in this movie. So that's number 5. Oh, side note, who's playing Steve Wozniak? His like partner in crime, the co-founder of Apple. Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen of Superbad, Knocked Up, Green Hornet, Neighbors. That's the interview. That Seth Rogen is playing Steve Wozniak, a computer genius. It reminds me a lot of when they cast Jonah Hill to play that one guy in Moneyball alongside Brad Pitt. You're thinking Jonah Hill from Superbad, that fat guy, that the comedy guy. But all he's went on to do was get 2 Best Supporting Actor nominations at the Academy Awards, and he's a bankable, dramatic actor. Obviously his biggest strength is in comedy, but he is definitely serviceable for dramas. So we'll see if Seth Rogen can make that same kind of transition. So that's number 5, Steve Jobs. Number 4 is a movie you may not have heard of yet, but come award season, I'm pretty sure you will. It's called The Revenant. And The Revenant is being directed by the reigning Best Director at the Oscars, Alejandro González Iñárritu, and who just directed Birdman, but that just happened to win Best Picture last year. Well, technically it won this year, but for you know what I mean. So this is his next project, and apparently this has been something he's had in his mind for a while now. And listen to the cast. I'm going to give you 2 names, the 2 main characters, and that'll sell you. In the lead, Leonardo DiCaprio, right? You might have heard of him. And his co-star, Tom Hardy. What more do you need to hear, right? The reigning Best Director, who just directed the reigning Best Picture winner, leading a film starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hardy. The last thing I saw Leo in happened to be one of my favorite movies of all time, The Wolf of Wall Street, which he was fantastic in. And the last thing I happened to see Tom Hardy in was Mad Max Fury Road, which was also incredible, for different reasons, albeit. But the premise of this movie is Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hardy are part of this. The details are kind of vague. There's only been one trailer so far, even though it was great, but there wasn't a lot of dialogue in it. The premise basically goes something like this: Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hardy are part of this hunting expedition group out in the wilderness, and some shit happens, and Leonardo DiCaprio is attacked by a bear, and Tom Hardy and the rest of his friends leave him out to die, and Leo survives and basically goes on a quest to get revenge on Tom Hardy and whoever else he was with. So it's a revenge flick set out in the wilderness, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hardy. I've said that about 5 times, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hardy. But I mean, you put that on any movie. You put that on a TV, on a movie for, Cottonelle toilet paper, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hardy. I'll watch it. So, and another kind of shtick or gimmick that this, whether you see it as that or not, about this movie is, Inarritu, the director. I've never heard of this happening before, but they shot the movie's already been shot. They shot the movie using nothing but natural light. Nothing but the light that was out there. I mean, you go to any movie set or TV set or anything where they're shooting pretty much anything, even those people taking pictures at the mall, wherever you go and see someone shooting anything, you see big lights and reflectors and stuff like that to get the lighting just right, because lighting is important. Poor quality of light just makes you think poor quality of content inevitably. So this idea that they're shooting the movie using nothing but natural light, the light that was out there in the woods, is astounding. And I don't know if that makes it better or makes it feel more real, or just because they can make it potentially feel more real doesn't mean that's going to make the movie any better. So I'm very interested. But again, the premise of the movie's being directed by the reigning best director, who directed Birdman, a movie I love, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hardy. That's good enough for 4th on my list. So we'll see how that turns out in, I have no idea when it's coming, November? A couple months. Okay. Number 3, Spectre, the new James Bond movie coming out. I know that one comes out in November. So the last James Bond movie, Skyfall, was fantastic. I think it's my second favorite James Bond movie ever. And it just solidified, because Quantum of Solace was good. I enjoyed it, but a lot of people didn't. And it was definitely a step down from Casino Royale. So when Skyfall came out, and it made over $1 billion worldwide, it made more money than The Dark Knight Rises. How did that happen? I still don't know. I mean, The Dark Knight Rises was coming off The Dark Knight, which is one of the greatest movies of all time, and Skyfall was coming off Quantum of Solace, which was widely regarded as a weak James Bond film, and yet Skyfall made more. So, money has nothing to do with quality, but something to note. So Spectre picks up after Skyfall, which we know a couple important things happened in Skyfall. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but a couple people died, a couple people changed position, and I think this James Bond we're going to see in Spectre, you're going to see a different James Bond. Maybe a little more weary, a little more broken, but regardless of all that stuff, the movie looks great. The first trailer they released, it was about only like a minute long, but it was captivating. It was interesting. It was a little dark, which is what I like, and it set up a pretty menacing villain duo, I might add. Christoph Waltz is playing the main villain, one of the greatest actors we have. I've said that a lot in this video already. One of the greatest actors we have, but it's true. Christoph Waltz is 2-time Academy Award winner. That said, both times he's won an Academy Award were also the only 2 times he was nominated, and the only 2 times he was nominated, both of those times, he was being directed by Quentin Tarantino, who is one of the greatest directors we have working today. So we'll see how he does not being directed by Quentin Tarantino, but he's a great actor regardless, so I'm sure he'll do a great job His henchman goes by the name of Mr. Hinks, and he's being played by former professional wrestler Dave Bautista, who just played Drax the Destroyer in Guardians of the Galaxy last year. And whenever you see, I've seen this guy in person before. Like, he looks big on screen, but you see him in person, it's one of the biggest men I've ever seen in my life. He's about 6'6", 300 pounds of pure muscle. And he's in his 40s now, but make no mistake, this guy will F you up. He's huge. So, and I think Daniel Craig's like 5'10". So, and you know these guys are going to throw down eventually, sometime in the movie. They're going to fight. Maybe even more than once, which is what I'm hoping for. So, that prospect alone gets me really excited, because Daniel Craig, I love Daniel Craig. Even in movies outside of Bond, like, most notably Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which also directed by David Fincher. One of the greatest directors we had, So, Spectre is the number 3 spot. I think it has the potential to be one of the best Bond films we've ever had. Daniel Craig's my favorite Bond we've ever had. So, a lot of potential there. Number 2. Speaking of Quentin Tarantino, we're going to go with The Hateful Eight. Whenever Tarantino, you see, my 2 favorite directors right now got to be Tarantino and Christopher Nolan. And that's kind of cliche to say, but it's true. Both of their movies and their styles are so incredibly different, but I love both of them. But like Christopher Nolan, a Quentin Tarantino movie has become a sort of an event, because they don't come out with movies all that often. Like, Tarantino's last movie was back in 2012, Django Unchained, which is amazing. But before that, you had to go back another 3 years for Inglourious Bastards, another amazing movie. That movie's in my top 10 favorite of all time. Brilliant movie. Due in large part to Christoph Waltz. But yeah, number 2, The Hateful Eight. So, some drama surfaced about this movie when it was announced what his next movie was going to be. So, apparently, when Tarantino finished the script for Hateful Eight, he shared it with a couple people, only a couple people, and one of those people he shared it with leaked the script online. And it got out there, a lot of people read it, a lot of people saw, the ending, what his vision was, and Tarantino was pissed, rightfully so. So pissed, in fact, that he got to the point where he canceled the movie altogether. He wasn't going to do it. He scrapped the whole project. He said he wasn't going to direct Hateful Eight, and as we knew it, the movie was dead. And then about a couple months later, we all thought this was going to happen, but Tarantino cooled off, gathered his thoughts again, and realized he might have been overreacting a little bit, and that he shouldn't be punishing the fans who loved Tarantino so much by not making a movie they all want to see because some asshole wanted to leak the script, go against Tarantino's, trust, and leak his script. So Tarantino made the film. It's done, waiting for the release date, and it stars a couple of Tarantino regulars, Samuel L. Jackson, who's been in just about every Tarantino film, Kurt Russell, who hasn't been doing much lately, but he's a great actor. Put him in the hands of Tarantino, and great things are going to happen. Plus, did you see that picture I showed? Did you see that mustache? How awesome was that mustache? You know how long it take me to grow that mustache? Too long. But Jennifer Jason Leigh, I think, is the female lead. I think what's that guy's name from Justified, and he was in Django. Walton Goggins, I think is his name. So yeah, no Christoph Waltz, no John Travolta, no Michael Fassbender, no Brad Pitt, but the movie is another Western, another period piece, another spaghetti Western like Django was, and I thought Django Unchained was brilliant. Probably about 20 minutes too long for me. They could have cut out a lot, some of it, but still, Django is a masterpiece. If any other director who made that, that'd be their best film. Easy. But Tarantino, I'd say that's about his 3rd or 4th best film. So, but still, incredible. So Hateful Eight, that gets the number 2 spot. Very excited for that. Tarantino, like I said, one of the best working today. And the great thing about Tarantino is whenever you see one of his movies, you know exactly it's a Tarantino movie. That, the super zoom in on the camera, or the interesting music selection, or most importantly the dialogue. There's something very specific about Tarantino dialogue that you can just pick out of a hat. You can tell as soon as you hear it, and mostly because it's over the top, mostly because it's brilliant, and it's unique. So whenever there's a Tarantino film, I'm there opening night. And another interesting thing I almost forgot. The movie comes out on Christmas. Yeah, Christmas. In a very limited release. And it comes out on Christmas, but they're only going to be showing it in theaters that play 70 millimeter, which is, for these old school film directors, 70 millimeter, when they shoot on film, is supposed to be the best, movie going experience. It's a big screen, very high quality. So it's only going to be released limited on Christmas in 70 millimeter. So if you're able to go see it in 70 millimeter, which probably most of you can't, but if you can, go do it. 70 millimeter is a great experience, and something that you're not able to do all the time. But after the limited release, I think once we get into like early January, Hateful Eight will be released, throughout the country, and everybody will be able to see it, but not in 70 millimeter. Okay. So that was number 2, Hateful Eight. Number 1, you could probably guess. No? Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Now, this movie, let's rewind a little bit. Back in, I think, 2012, it was announced that Disney was buying Lucasfilm from George Lucas. George Lucas created Lucasfilm, the film company, and that's who produced and made all the Star Wars movies. I think it also owns the rights to Indiana Jones. And as soon as they bought it, they immediately announced that more Star Wars movies were on the way. And the first one was going to be Star Wars Episode 7, coming in the summer of 2015. And everyone was like going crazy. That was like some of the biggest movie news of the last 15, 20 years was that announcement. Crazy. And then a couple months after that, they changed, and the release date now moved from summer 2015 to December 2015. J.J. Abrams, the director, said he needed more time, get the story right, make sure they could get the best technology for the movie, which made sense. So here we are, a couple months out, and there's a lot we don't know about the movie. We've had 2 trailers. The first one came out in November, right around Thanksgiving time, and it was like a minute long, and all it really showed was a couple quick images, a couple quick shots. You saw the Stormtrooper out in the desert, you saw the Millennium Falcon, you saw some of the new characters, a new droid, you saw the film's villain, who we now know his name is Kylo Ren, being played by Adam Driver. He was the guy with the lightsaber, with the cross guard, That got a lot of people talking as soon as they saw it. But again, and then we got another trailer, the second trailer, which is barely longer than that first one, in like a minute and a half. That came out during Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim, and that trailer was much better. It showed a lot more. We got more Millennium Falcon. We got to see Han Solo, the first member of the big 3 that we saw. Still haven't seen Luke Skywalker. Still haven't seen, Princess Leia. That trailer is fantastic. If you were at Star Wars Celebration, I wasn't, but I was watching the live stream, and there were people crying watching that trailer. Grown men and women, and children. I don't know why they were crying, but grown men, grown women, and children were crying, weeping at that trailer. They were so happy, and it was a good trailer. I'm a big Star Wars fan. Back in elementary school, when the last Star Wars movie came out, Revenge of the Sith, there was Star Wars fever at my school. Everybody was, crazy. Love Star Wars. But then after that, there hadn't been any new Star Wars stuff for years. And the hype kind of died down. Anyone mentioned Star Wars? Well, yeah, Star Wars, of course, Star Wars. Everybody knew what Star Wars was. But there wasn't really a desire or a fever for it. but now there is. So here we are, July, about 5 months, a little under 5 months away from the movie, and we don't know the plot. We don't know half the characters. We don't know a lot. So I think there's going to be at least 2 more trailers, probably one full official trailer, and then maybe one more trailer before we get to the release date. So a couple things I want to see in these trailers. I want to see Luke Skywalker. I want to see what he looks like, because we knew he was growing the beard out. Mark Hamill was growing the beard out. So is he going to play like an old Jedi, or did he go to the dark side, or I don't know. So I want to see that. Andy Serkis. We got confirmation of the name of his character, Supreme Leader Snoke. 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 That's who he's playing. If you don't know who Andy Serkis is, I'm sure you've seen some of his work. He is known as the motion capture guru, the master. Motion capture is where they put you in that suit with all the dots all over you, and they capture, and you basically play an animated person or a figure or a character, but it's you. It's all the motions, you, the facial expressions, it's all you. He played Gollum in the Lord of the Rings, and that's probably what he's best known for. But he also played Caesar in the new Planet of the Apes movies, both in Rise of the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. He played King Kong in King Kong, directed by his Lord of the Rings friend, Peter Jackson. And he also recently played, he did some motion capture for the Hulk in Avengers Age of Ultron. And so back last year in 2014, when they announced the cast of Star Wars Episode 7, Andy Serkis was one of those guys. And everybody immediately assumed he was going to be playing a motion capture character because, he's the best in the world at it. And a couple months ago, it was confirmed he'll be playing a motion capture character named Supreme Leader Snoke. So is he going to be like and from the picture they released, it's clear he'll be a bad guy. It's pretty obvious. So in the trailer, I don't necessarily have to see him, but I want to know more about him, because I think he has the potential to be either the Emperor of this new trilogy, or maybe even the Darth Vader of this trilogy. We'll see. But I think part of the reason I'm so excited about this movie is how little I know about it. I mean, think about this. We know more about Batman v Superman. Hell, we know more about Suicide Squad than we know about Star Wars. And, we said this when J.J. Abrams was announced as the director of Episode 7. J.J. Abrams is fantastic, one of the best at keeping his movie projects secrets under wraps. If he doesn't want you to know something, you're not going to know it most of the time. There was that whole thing with Star Trek Into Darkness, when the reports came out that Benedict Cumberbatch was playing Khan in the movie, and J.J. Abrams, no, he's not playing Khan. His name's John Harrison. That was his name. John Harrison, he's not Khan. And then sure enough, halfway through the movie, Benedict Cumberbatch, my name is Khan. So, J.J. Abrams has lied straight to the fans' faces before. So, we'll see. But, I think that's going to do it. That was my 5 most anticipated movies. We'll run those back down for you again. Number 5, Steve Jobs, starring Michael Fassbender. Number 4, The Revenant, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hardy. That's like the 10th time I've said that. Number 3 is Spectre, the new James Bond film. Number 2, Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight. And number 1, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, coming out in December. So, I'd love to hear what you think about my list. I'd love to hear your own list, what you're looking forward to the rest of the year. Did I miss anything? Anything that you're really looking forward to? I know I missed a couple more I'm looking forward to. Everest, that looks really good. The Good Dinosaur, Pixar's newest movie. Again, Fantastic Four, Man from U.N.C.L.E., those kind of movies. But, I just want to put this little video together because I'm having some problems with the site, trying to fix those. And we should have that all ready to go in the next couple days, and you'll start to see a lot more written content on the site. Also still working out some bugs on this channel, getting my editing software, trying to learn that and do it at the same time. It's difficult. It's a process. So I appreciate you being patient through this transition time. A lot of different things going on. But yeah, I just want to put this little video, hold you guys over, little weekend video, little editorial. And so once again, go ahead and subscribe to our channel here, CrackFilm. Subscribe to the website and be the first to get all the alerts for when we have new posts, new editorials, new videos. That's on the homepage of crackfilm.com. Enter your email address and you're a subscriber, so that's always great. Comment on the video, like, share, all that stuff. Get us out there, join the conversation. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for today. Once again, my name's Dominick Summa, editor-in-chief of crackfilm.com, and I'll see you later.